Trump. But let's get a little more insight into what we've been hearing with Scott Eulinger. He is a former CIA field operator in Russia. And Scott, the first thing that happened where Democrats came out like gangbusters suggesting once again that there was some kind of collusion between Russia and the Trump administration. And again, we heard from Jim Clapper, who was the head of Intel. He was the Intel director for the United States for many years. He said there is absolutely no connection, no evidence of collusion. He said the CIA looked into it, the FBI looked into it, the NSA looked into it, and the DNI, of which he was the head. So how many times do you have to ask a question for which there has been a clear answer?
Exactly. This turns out to be much ado about nothing again. The Democrats are basically hiding behind top secret classification to allege General Flynn was involved in some activities when it turns out, listening to the testimony, that it seems to be basically he perhaps lied. In any case, he was dismissed for loss of confidence, and that seems legitimate. However, any allegations that he was doing something more clandestine with the Russians is obviously baseless.
Well, General Flynn is only part of the hearing's interest right now, but it is interesting that the point that Donald Trump, in fact, made in a tweet that General Flynn and the incident which caused a lot of questions about General Flynn was when he appeared in front of Russian TV. That was in 2015. And after that, the Obama administration gave him clearance. And about that, Donald Trump wrote, General Flynn, if we can go back to that tweet, put that tweet back up on the screen. General Flynn was given the highest security clearance by the Obama administration, but the fake news seldom likes talking about it. So why, in fact, if the Obama administration had information about his visit to Russian television, which is a propaganda arm of the Putin administration, why didn't they refuse to give him clearance?
Right, probably because there was nothing there actually for them to cause them to dismiss his security clearance. Exactly. Again, there's nothing there. And even Ms. Yates was also hiding behind the secret information. She was very happy to discuss her actions, her fears of Russian blackmail in alerting the White House and the vice president, but she's describing her own actions and none of those of General Flynn. And again, because I believe General Flynn did nothing untoward except perhaps exercise some bad judgment. But there's certainly nothing sinister or clandestine here.
Well, the one thing that is sinister is that somebody was leaking information about some of these unmaskings, which may or may not have been legitimate, the unmaskings themselves. But certainly leaking is not legitimate. It's not legal.
Certainly.
Are we getting any closer to understanding who was involved? Of course, Susan Rice, who was the former NSA director, will not testify about her role, perhaps because she's afraid to answer that question.
That's exactly right. She is, as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle would say, the dog that didn't bark. That's right. I'm very suspicious of her reluctance to offer any kind of testimony at this point. I think she's the key because there was a lot of abuse, I believe, going on as far as unmasking of individuals. Both DNI Clapper and Ms. Yates both stated that they had read intercepts which featured unmasked Americans, in this case, actually, President Trump and some of his associates. At the same time, they admitted that they never targeted either campaign, but they did see a lot of there were a lot of wholesale unmaskings, I believe, under the Obama administration that seemed rather suspicious to me.
Well, we should mention, by the way, both James Clapper and Sally Yates said under oath, and they were sworn in for this testimony, said under oath that they did not leak any information or authorize anybody else to leak information about who was unmasked. They did say that. Of course, again, we have not heard from Susan Rice, who would not come before the committee. Scott, thank you very much.